Yeah, I recently released a blog post on the Mel McLaughlin Chris Gale saga, and the point of the post was basically to say that the hysterical way it was all completely blown out of proportion meant that it had a kind of a negative effect and pushed men and women further apart on the topic of casual sexism, and also kind of left a bit of a stain on Chris Gale and Mel McLaughlin's respective careers. I just thought it was full, like the whole sort of conversation on social media leading up to my blog post was full of hypocrisy and lack of accountability, which obviously men have kind of no real time for. We don't have time for people who want to preach about men doing stuff, but then when men point out things that women do that are exactly the same, then they say no, that's not the same thing. We just don't have time for that. That's a male point of view, and so like part of the point of my post was to say, look, if we want to have a conversation, let's have one, but let's at least be consistent on the topic. A few women kind of got a little bit shitty about it. A lot of women did agree with me, and a lot of women agreed, but they didn't really like one of the paragraphs in my post, which caused a bit of an uproar. The level-headed women sort of said, "Look, I agree with your post, but don't really like this paragraph." And it was and then there were other women who just tunneled in on the paragraph and decided they wanted to make it the whole point of my blog post. And these were the feminists, the ones who I guess I don't really classify as feminists. I classify them more as sort of pack mentality, she-wolf, sort of elitist extremists who don't really care about bringing men and women closer together. Rather, they just care about sort of becoming like the peak person on the pedestal with regards to the female sex, where they kind of like just lead these movements that are against men rather than bringing people together. And that was the topic, the paragraph they were tunneling in about was a paragraph where I said that perhaps instead of women focusing on men slut shaming, that they should focus on promoting higher values within the female gender. And then they started asking me things like, oh, what do you call a slut? What's your definition of a slut? And then when I gave my definition of a slut, then they said, well, that's not the dictionary definition of a slut, so therefore you're wrong, because obviously we're going to talk about dictionary definitions instead of actually talking to males who have opinions. I don't have time for people who want to contribute to a conversation by kind of just trying to pull my argument apart. I don't have time for people who try and do that and then sort of turn around and say that I'm just trying to win the argument. Or there was a couple sort of full-blown extremists that instead of contributing to the conversation just kind of said I was way off the mark and I should read a book, or that was as far as they went. They're kind of talking about that it's not their job to educate me, I should read a book instead of talking to real people. And then there was another one who said that I should simply insert myself into a bin. These are feminist people. These are people who are trying to have conversations and bring men together. But I just don't consider these people feminists at all. I consider people, real feminist people like my wife, who hasn't had a dad for most of her life, and who doesn't need to blame men for all her problems in the world. She's a woman that other women respect, and that most men respect as well. All the men that I know look up to Amanda and think that she's an amazing person. I look up to Amanda. I would do anything for Amanda because I respect her, because she inspires me, because she's an inspirational woman and she's a real leader. And I know that my two little daughters, they'll grow up to not be these whiny sort of victimized little ladies who think that they're doing the right thing by making men part of the problem instead of the solution. Men are part of the solution; they're not the problem. And then when people get that into their heads, then maybe then we can have a proper discussion on the topic. But when people start, these feminists, these sort of like heroes of the female race go out, and instead of contributing to the conversation and trying to get through to the male that they're speaking to, instead they want to talk about throwing that male throwing themselves in the bin, or telling them that we're clueless white privileged males, which is a myth anyway, because there's plenty of white males out there on the streets who aren't doing very well at all, and it's just it's a ridiculous statement, and it's obviously totally non-constructive in any way. I just want to have a conversation with real women, with real feminists who are interested in bringing people closer together on the topic, and that means not alienating the men target audience, but instead, bringing people together. And if you want to continue the conversation, then that's fine. But I guess the point of this post is, I think it's important to know the difference between a feminist and a elitist, extremist, pack mentality she-wolf who doesn't give a shit about men's opinions or about bringing men and women close together, but really just more about their own self-importance and just want to promote hypocrisy and lack of accountability. And I guess that really does upset me. It's been on my mind for a few days, and I just needed to get that out, I guess, before I explode. And thanks to all the females out there who want to offer a rational discussion on the topic, and hope we can have many conversations more about how us men and us females can work together so we can reduce the systemic oppression of females, and bring more people closer together. We're all humans. We're all trying to do our best in a society that's systematically oppressed by an elite class, an elite ruling class. So we don't need to hear any more of this bullshit about men and how they've systematically oppressed women. We need to be on the same page, and I think people who aren't getting men and women on the same page, they're not feminists. They're just they're part of the problem as well. Have a great day.